It's the Brad and John Show.
May 6, 2025. This is the B Block, which means we started right around 7:20. John, years ago, I remember listening to Charlie Brennan on KMOX, and he had Charlton Heston on as a guest. And at the time, Charlton Heston had been married for 50 plus years, I think like 52 or 53 years. And Charlie Brennan asked Charlton Heston what the secret was to his long-standing relationship with his wife. And Charlton Heston said 3 words: "Honey, you're right." So in the true spirit of Charlton Heston, I'm going to say to John, honey, you're right. I was wrong. Patrick Swayze was not in Fight Club. He was in Roadhouse, thanks to a couple listeners who texted me.
Roadhouse. You know, I never saw that, but I hear that it's hilarious.
Yes, he was. Well, and it was another thing where he was like matter of fact, they resurrected that movie and they had another dude do the Roadhouse thing. But essentially, he was the tough guy that was like the bouncer for this club that was trying to be taken over by the rich guy in town, who I believe was Martin Milner, from the old Adam 12 series, but I may be wrong on that. Anyway, it wasn't Fight Club that Patrick Swayze, he was in Roadhouse. Okay, we talking about the infamous Tesla sticker dude?
Yeah, go ahead. So what's new on this? You say that Marc Cox has a development on this.
Well, Marc Cox has put on his journalist hat again, and he apparently has made calls to the Kirkwood Police Department, and it's almost sounded like he also talked to the Kirkwood prosecutor, and I believe that Kirkwood does not have a full-time prosecutor. A lot of the munis have prosecutors that they hire. They're essentially attorneys at law firms, and I believe that's the case with Kirkwood. I may be wrong on that, but if somebody corrects me, somebody knows the true situation at Kirkwood as far as prosecutor, you can text me or call me 314-280-8880, and that is my true phone number. Correct, John?
That's unfortunately correct.
Okay, and he says that he has made several calls, and his observation was, and apparently he did a John Combest where he did a deep dive into the Channel 4, the Channel 2, and the Channel 5 websites, and guess what story is on none of those websites?
I bet it's the Kirkwood story. I thought the same thing, Brandon. You don't see it in the Post-Dispatch. You shockingly don't see it on Queer Fight Club website, a.k.a. St. Louis Public Radio, do you?
Now, John, I'm going to ask you a serious question. This has turned into a national story. Why aren't the local news outlets, why aren't they touching this? Are they afraid they're getting sued?
Yeah, I think maybe here's when it will reach their radar. Mr. Howells will claim, accurately or not, that he's being harassed, that people are threatening him. He won't be able to show any evidence of it, but he'll say, I'm getting death threats. People are threatening to kill me. Oh, really? Like who? Well, it's just happening. And so if he's able to successfully put together a case where he's somehow a victim in all this, then the media will rally around this. They're aware of it, Brad. Everybody that covers this type of stuff at the Post-Dispatch has seen it. Everybody at these news outlets has seen it. They're just choosing to not. Maybe they have Musk derangement syndrome. Maybe they hate Elon Musk. Maybe they don't want to give conservatives any wins or any ammunition. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly why.
Let me ask you a weird question. This comes from a different angle. We've had the certain, and Brad's going to tie these things together, okay? Amazingly as that may seem. We've had the talk from Elliot Davis, and it's been in the news again, that the the St. Louis Board of Aldermen may be taking into consideration of vetting journalists and essentially saying, well, you're a journalist, you can come into the BOA meetings, but you're not. Isn't this Christian Kirk guy? And if you know the story behind this, he's the guy that has a Tesla and he parks it in Kirkwood, and this other dude, this William Howells, allegedly, although you watch the video and you can see it right up front, is sticking F Elon stickers on his car. Isn't Christian Kirk being the ultimate citizen journalist in this story?
I think you would say that, Brad. And I think that, as we discussed yesterday, as you pointed out, I like the analogy you gave yesterday, Brad, which is today in your hand what would have been $100,000 of equipment 30 years ago, everybody has in their hand now. So yeah, you could call him that.
Right. And he talked about the fact, I don't know exactly what he does, and supposedly this was a Tesla Cybertruck. I thought it was just like an S or a Y or something like that, but supposedly it is a Cybertruck, and that aggravates the line haters even more because it's so ugly.
They hate those even more, yeah.
Right, it's so ugly, and look at it's massive, and it weighs 8,000 pounds. Blah 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 blah. He apparently, for a business, this is what he does. He does videos. I don't know exactly what kind of video he does, but he says he spent 5 minutes on this video. Now, I have to tell you something, John. I do videos myself, too. Have done it for a long time. Have a green screen studio here at the radio station. We can do green screen videos, all that kind of stuff. I want to call up this Christian Kirk guy and say, dude, I will pay for your class if you can teach me how to do videos like that in 5 minutes, because it's a very well done little video. You know, I mean, he takes the video from his Cybertruck or whatever it is, we'll just call it a Tesla. He takes that video, he edits it together, he puts the text on. You know, he's got the
and then he puts Larry David's "Curb Your Enthusiasm" music, which is I've used in many of my videos.
Right, exactly.
I think I interrupted you. You were going to say what Marc Cox did, and then you interrupted yourself.
Well, no. He says that they're pushing this situation. They're waiting to hear back from either the Kirkwood Police Department or the Kirkwood, prosecutor. And they are also, he sort of, said the thing what I just said about the fact that they're curious why none of the local media has picked up in the story. And he came up with the angle that they're afraid of getting sued. And not only that, they're afraid of ruffling the feathers of Washington University.
Yeah, I would say it's probably, just to analyze Mark's conjecture there, I don't think they're probably upset because I imagine this Howells guy will either be dismissed or I doubt that they're scared of WashU. I think there's so much other stuff that WashU does that they cover religiously and devotedly that I don't think they worry about that. I think they're just I think they don't want to cover an incident in which a left-wing guy is doing something silly, like a man that age, a man in his 60s, like doing something like that. I don't think they want to make a Webster Groves progressive look bad.
Does he live in Webster?
I mean, I'm not going to dox him, Brad.
Okay. Well,
I'll just say that I'm conjecturing that he probably, if we had to stereotype, I think we would say we probably wouldn't be shocked if he lived in Webster Groves.
Either that or Kirkwood, because apparently he spends a lot of time in Kirkwood. Cause...
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes they cross-pollinate, right?
Okay, John. This is one of these stories that you say, if we could have the Homer Simpson dough. Did you hear about this guy that won the Powerball in Kentucky?
Oh, no. What happened?
He won last week. He won the Powerball. Matter of fact, he won the largest. He's the largest Powerball winner in Kentucky because, each of the states contribute. But he has won the most money of any other citizen of Kentucky. He won a $167 million Powerball last week. Okay? Guess where he's at right now?
Jail.
Yes, he's in the Pinellas County, Florida Sheriff's Jail. And why? 50-year-old James Farthing, Farthing. If you took the H out of that, that'd be an interesting name.
Right. We get it.
Farthing was charged with felony battery on a law enforcement officer, as well as misdemeanor charges of resisting an officer without violence and simple battery. According to the arrest affidavit filed in Pinellas County Circuit Court by the Sheriff's Office, Farthing was involved in a fight with another guest at the Trade Winds Resort in St. Pete Beach, Florida, just after 11 p.m. on Tuesday. So he wins the lottery. He gets $157 million. And apparently he's down in Florida celebrating, I won the lottery. And he gets in a fight with a dude and he's in jail. Okay, what's wrong with that picture, John?
Yeah. I'm guessing I'm going to go way out on the limb and say alcohol.
Well, I bet you there was alcohol involved. It's one of those things. It's like you read, and it's almost to the point where it's like years ago, when I used to listen to the Dr. Drew or to the Loveline show with Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla, they used to do a segment of the show called Florida or Germany. And because they say that the bizarre news stories of the world come out of two places, either the country Germany or the state of Florida. And they would read these stories and the listeners would guess Florida or Germany. So this one is, now the interesting part of this is, even though this man is in Kentucky, guess where he got arrested? In Florida, to the point where it's
yeah. I mean, that's the cliche of Florida man.
yes, the Florida man, but he's not a Florida man. He's a Kentucky man, but he got arrested in Florida. I mean, if you just won $157 million, and if he takes the instant payout, what he's going to get, this always bothers me. To me, the government, the Powerball people should be sued for false advertising, because when they say, hey, if you won the instant jackpot of $157 million, you don't get $157 million. And think about that for a minute. If a private organization says, hey, come in and register to win $1 million in cash, and you came in and you registered and they pulled your name and they go, well, actually, we're only going to give you $55,000 because we have to pay tax on this and tax on that and tax on that, because you turn around and sue them. Hey, false advertising. You told me I was going to win $1 million. When the smoke cleared, I got $55,000. But the federal government can say, hey, play the Powerball and win $2 billion. And yet when you win, you don't get any close to that. You get what I'm saying, John?
Yeah, it's outrageous. The great comedian Mitch Hedberg, my favorite comedian, had a bit about this.
Really?
He said he drove by a lottery sign that said, estimated jackpot $100 million. He said, I didn't know that stuff was estimated. Can you imagine going in there and it was way less? We estimate that you are pissed.
It's true.
Come on, Anyway, the guy, don't you think that maybe get the money in your bank account and then have a drink? Why do you have to celebrate right away?
Well, I don't,
Maybe the type of people, though, Brad, excuse me, maybe the type of people that play the lottery, maybe that crowd, let's say, selects for people who make bad decisions. If you're standing at Walmart staring at whichever ticket has the shiniest color and the brightest gold and black font on it, maybe you're inclined to do methamphetamines or drink to excess.
I don't know. Have you seen, by the way, I don't know if you notice this kind of stuff. Have you seen the new fancy schmancy lottery ticket machines in any of the grocery stores? I don't know where do you shop or anything like that, but have you seen the ones where the entire front of the machine is a video display? And we're talking like floor to ceiling.
Yeah, I think they have those at Walmart.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's to prevent some 16-year-old kid going and buying a ticket? Why? It would be it would almost be like putting a beer vending machine in Walmart, going oh, you only can buy beer when you're 21 years under or 21 years older. And the kid's going, and he goes up to the machine.
Yeah, that's what you think, right?
Puts in a couple bucks and out pops a beer because he doesn't.
Well, why don't you just have a Torch Electronics video gaming machine and then also a little bit of automated dispensary there?
I don't know.
So you could get your cannabis, you could get your beer, you could get your lottery ticket, you could gamble, you could play a slot machine, and you could get your cannabis in one fell swoop.
John, once again, flashback to my days when I was 18 years old and someone coming up, a soothsayer, someone who was seeing the future and say, Brad, in this great state of Missouri, one day you'll be able to play the lottery. You'll be able to go to a casino in St. Louis. And not only that, you'll be able to legally go to a store and buy marijuana. And I'd say, not Missouri, buddy. You don't know this state very well, do you?
And you didn't even know that one day you would have your own fight club for your type of people, Brad.
Yes.
You didn't have to feel ashamed,
Okay. Going back to and touching on this, I know I talk about this too much. Why doesn't the Friends of KWMU buy KDHX? Because
that's a great question, Brad.
That would give them another outlet. I mean, the problem that KWMU has right now, they've got 30 plus reporters. They don't have enough airtime for all those reporters to file stories on KWMU. So if they put on another channel, if they put on KDHX. And then they have, you could have a reporter who could be doing a simultaneously a report about the Queer Fight Club on KWMU, and you can have that same reporter doing about the Straight Club on KDHX.
I think a better question is, why did I go to Westplex Talk over the weekend, and in the early morning hours, I heard God Squad music?
Did you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no,
And
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no, no.
oh, we could be selling this for a weekend agriculture show that actually made money for the station, or we can just play generic God Squad music on Westplex Talk.
No,
I guess I know which one Brad wants.
that's
Anyway, maybe some of those KWMU reporters could use the for some reason religious music is playing on the weekend on Westplex Talk streaming. And yeah, Brad, so I went on Sunday to make sure that the live stream link was actually working. You know, on occasion it doesn't. And I was like, oh, God Squad music. That's nice. Then I came back a while later. Oh, God Squad music. That's nice.
That was Smash.
Okay, well, maybe.
Smash does a religious show between 7 and 8, and he's done it for years on this station. He does it on both the stations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Smash is an interesting character in that he was, I think I have this correct, his mother was Jewish, and I think in the Jewish religion, the religion passes.
The mother carries the hereditary
from the mother. Okay, so his mother was Jewish, and he essentially is Jewish, but he has become a born-again Christian. And he hangs out at the old Kurt Warner church down there in Chesterfield Valley, and he's become a very religious person, and he actually does a very interesting show. It's called The People's Praise Party, and we've run it for years and years and years, and I run it on both stations. And it's an hour show. He does a real good job with it. And matter of fact, he's an interesting guy. If you listen to him between songs, you just hear the music. Interesting, he does his preaching, but it's like no other preacher you've probably ever heard before, and that's part of the reason I run it. He is
now. Does he know that you run this, or do you ever talk to him? Do you speak to him?
Oh yeah, he sends it to me. You know, it's a new show.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a new show. I mean, you know, if you've ever met the guy personally, you've never met a more humble, gracious person than Smash. I mean, he truly is one of those people that he's not the big head, not the J.C. Corcoran kind of ego or something like that. He's very down to earth and to the point where very humble, and to the point where if you said, "Hey, Smash, nice shirt," he'd probably take it off and give it to you. He's one of those kind of guys.
I've seen Smash. I don't think I want him undressing in front of me. He's no Patrick Swayze, Brad.
And he's not in Fight Club, right?
Yeah, and I do remember stories about Smash from J.C. Corcoran's book, which I have in my hands right now.
Is he bad? Does he torch him or what?
Well, I'm not your clipping service, Brad. You could pay $9.99 and get this book yourself. JC would sign it for you.
I bet he no, not for me. He would. He'd set it on fire and hand it to me. That's what he'd do. No, come on, tell me, does he dish Smash?
I think they had a little bit of a tiff, and then I think they ended up speaking again. I think they went through some hard times, and I think where JC wrote this book, which was 25 years ago, I think they were in a good spot.
John, well, you've just broken some news.
Yeah, are you saying that JC Corcoran said he was wrong?
No, that JC Corcoran had a problem with somebody. I mean,
oh, Brad, if you read this book, you'd have an entirely different view.
You've just broken some news, John. J.C. Corcoran had a disagreement with somebody?
I know. You would think that at times maybe his ego got in the way of his own success, and that maybe he grew a little bit over time. He grew so much that he was able to threaten to punch you in the face.
Do you know he's now on the refugee station?
And what's the punchline here?
No, seriously, he's on the refugee station.
What time?
He does. This is the interesting thing. We'll talk about this in C Block, okay?
Okay, or we don't need to.
Well, we will, because I think this is somewhat interesting. Because his good buddy is, I'll just put it this way, his good buddy is George Weber, okay?
Oh, wow, okay, that's nice.
Okay, we'll do a break. We'll be right back. It is, I got to hold on, I almost really screwed up here. I'm not paying attention. Now I'm paying attention.